Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. I'm your host, Michelle Malcolm, and as always, it's a pleasure to be in your company today. Thank you so much for tuning in and making GPS a part of your afternoon routine. I want you to know that it is much appreciated. Every time I come on, I realize that I have an audience out there who, for whatever strange reason, is listening to what I have to say. And I really appreciate your support and you being a part of the show. So just in case you are a newbie around these parts, let's go ahead and tell you how you can participate. The telephone numbers to call: 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, and the WhatsApp line for text messages and calls is 8010271, 8010271. We are streaming live on Facebook on the official Global 99.5 FM Facebook page, as well as the official Michelle Malcolm page. You can also catch us on YouTube on our official channels, and you can catch us on Cable Bahamas channel 974. Cable Bahamas 974. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, what are we talking about today? Well, we are talking about an issue that has been a challenge for us here in the Bahamas for a very long time, but unfortunately not just the Bahamas, but elsewhere in the world, this is a problem as well. And our conversation today is going to be one which is going to more than just complain about the problem, but we're going to really look at the root cause of where this comes from. Because oftentimes, I say it a lot, you can't fix what you don't acknowledge. So what we're going to be talking about today is rape culture. Rape culture. And this isn't going to focus on a particular case allegedly involving an MP. We're not talking about that specifically. We're not talking about marital rape specifically, although I'm sure both of those topics will come up during this conversation. But we are talking about the rape culture that exists. And if you don't understand what I mean by that, then definitely you need to tune into this show. And this is a show for both men and women. This isn't a women's show. And I do have both a man and a woman who are going to be on the panel today. But you need to make sure that if you're a parent, your boys listen to this show. Girls too, but boys especially. Because as we're going to learn as we go throughout this show, this is a culture that is being perpetuated generation after generation after generation, because there are many things that we are permitting to happen in our culture, not even realizing how it is contributing to this problem of a rape culture. So, what is rape culture? I'm going to begin the show with a clip, and then I'm going to introduce my guests, and we're going to dive deeper into this whole question of what is rape culture.
Did y'all know it was Sexual Assault Awareness Month?
Oh yeah, that's in April.
I had no idea that was even a thing.
Sexual Assault Awareness Month is so important because rape culture and misogyny are so pervasive. Just think of all the times our aunties and uncles had something to say about our short short.
But I thought that rape culture was only about sexual assault or stopping an assault from happening.
It's more than that, sis. Rape culture can also be subtle. It's in how we move, think, and speak that normalizes sexual violence and undermines our consent.
Most importantly, rape culture is always rooted in patriarchal beliefs, power, and control.
So last week when we were walking down the street and those guys were calling us out, that's rape culture too?
Yep. Here's the thing. Rape culture is everywhere. It's in our classrooms, on Twitter, on TV, and even in our own homes. But the good news is we can disrupt rape culture.
Wow, there have been so many times I saw something and didn't say anything. I didn't know that by staying silent, I was part of the problem.
Yeah, I know it's uncomfortable, that pit in your stomach, but you have to listen to that voice and act.
I don't know. I'm just not a superhero like you.
You don't have to be a superhero. Anyone can do it.
You may not have gotten it right then, but every day you have an opportunity to disrupt rape culture. First, examine your beliefs and behavior. From there, you will show up differently so that next time you will speak up.
And don't forget, we all have to continue to support, listen to, and believe survivors.
I can do that. Right on, Rosa.
Oh, you all got jokes.
All right, so yeah, we're talking about rape culture today. And this is going to be a very serious conversation. I don't want us to trivialize this in any way. Because, there's certain people out there who, whenever you bring up any kind of topic like this, they like to deflect. And not today, not today, not today. I warn you now, not today. Because for those of you out there who are going to try to deflect and all that kind of stuff, just for you, not for everybody else, but just for you, I had wasp nest for breakfast this morning. So you come here talking foolishness, you could get sting. Not today, because this is a very serious conversation that needs to be had. And as a woman, I can tell you that I have experienced many of the things that you're going to learn about today. This whole idea that it is okay. It's not okay. So let's bring my first guest into the studio. Now, I don't see her camera on, so I hope she's standing by with at least audio. My first guest is Alicia Wallace, and she is the director of Equality Bahamas. Alicia, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon, Michelle.
So you don't want us to see your lovely face today. What happened? Why are you turning on your camera?
I'm moving around. And you don't need to see all the bumps and shakes along the way.
Oh, for God's sake. But anyway, we're glad you're here. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're most welcome. So, Alicia, a lot of people don't even realize that there's such a thing as rape culture. Why do you think that is?
It's become so normalized. People consider it a part of life. This is what we do. This is the way that we are. And so many people believe that it is Bahamian culture. And you go to other countries and they will say, well, it's American culture. It's Canadian culture. It exists everywhere. It crosses borders far more easily than people do at this point. It is just a practice that has been passed down and that we kind of mirror each other with. So it's the victim blaming. It is the ideas that we have, particularly about women and girls, we hear it. One of the most glaring examples of it that continues over and over again is anytime there's a case of a missing girl, you hear people saying, well, don't worry, she'll be back after the weekend.
Yeah.
These girls too bad. She out
Mhm.
there with a man. I'm not going to worry about her. But
Mhm.
we're ignoring that it's a child,
Mhm.
someone that's, 14, 15 years old, cannot give consent. But the idea is that this is something that happens,
She just
and she
yeah.
just made a decision for herself, and too bad.
Mhm. Mhm.
And if we feel that way about children, then what do we think about women?
Mm. Now, for the record, not only females are raped. We need to say that. Um,
Yes,
Men and boys are raped as well.
absolutely.
Uh, Although in a much uh, in much lower
Lower
numbers,
numbers, yes.
and women and girls are raped, but men and boys are raped as well. So let's set that right out at the beginning. So this isn't a show about male against female. I want to say this because you got some special people out there. And whenever you bring up these kinds of topics, they go back to, in primary school when it was the boys against the girls. They go back to that type of mentality. And that's not what this is about. This is about a society that needs to deal with a problem. And like Alicia so well pointed out, and as you'll see in one of the videos I'm going to play in this show today, this isn't just a Bahamian problem. This is happening all over. But we cannot fix what we do not acknowledge. And if you think it's okay for, the locker room talk when you and the boys get together and you all start talking about this gal and this and the next, and yeah, I had to take it and all these kind of things, and everybody laughing, hee, ha, 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 like it's a big joke, and you don't see anything wrong with that, then you're a part of rape culture. If you know something about somebody who is being abused or raped, and you choose to look the other way because you figure in on your business, you're a part of rape culture. If you teaching your boys, well, boys will be boys, and you all could go out and sow your wild oats, um, you know, just don't bring the baby home to me, but go have fun. Then maybe, just maybe, you're a part of rape culture. But the challenge is that, again, it has become so normalized that most people who are engaging in this, the sexual harassment that we take for granted, don't even realize that they are perpetuating this culture. And when you think about it, Alicia, as children, we aren't born this way. So this has to be a learned behavior. Would you agree?
Absolutely. It's definitely learned, and that is acknowledged in many of the current human rights mechanisms, the international mechanisms that we use, like the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, known as CEDAW, also known as the Bill of Women's Rights. Article 5 of the convention focuses specifically on gender stereotypes. And that's also the article that they use to address gender based violence. And it's quite interesting to hear that a human rights treaty body will make recommendations to a country to address gender stereotypes because they recognize that it is the root of gender based violence, that we have these ideas that men and boys are supposed to be a particular way, women and girls are supposed to be a particular way. And along that line, we also have masculinity and femininity, and the two should never mix or meet. There should be no combination, and everyone is supposed to stay in their separate boxes. And anytime that you step outside of that prescribed box, there's that opening for violence to take place. And we don't all subscribe to these same ideas, right? We've kind of evolved in some ways over the decades where we understand, for example, that women work. Women have to work. It's necessary for the household. We need two incomes at this point to really be able to meet all of our financial obligations. But for some reason, we haven't gotten quite to the point where we understand very widely that the work in the household then has to be shared. If both the adults or all of the adults in the house are going out to work, then we need to find some balance at home. It means that women are not home all day, so why should we do all the cooking and the cleaning and the childbearing?
It's interesting that you would say that. We were talking about a similar subject a week or so ago, and one of the callers or commenters, I can't remember which one, said something to the degree of, well, the traditional role is that the women will do just what you were talking about just now, and we were taught that it's the man's job to throw out the garbage and keep the yard clean, mow the lawn. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, all you gotta do is throw out the garbage, however often that is, whether that's once a day or once a week or whatever. That heavy lifting of taking out the garbage, my God, what a heavy job. And how often do you have to mow your lawn? Once a month? Once every 2 weeks? So that's the extent of your responsibility. Meanwhile, you expecting this woman to go out there and work just as hard as you or harder, 9 to 5. Come home after a hard day's work, just how people were bothering you on your job, people bother on her. So she frustrated. She come home, she got to do all the cooking, all the cleaning, take care of all the children and their needs, their homework, etc., prepare them for bed, all of that, and then still service you. And we don't have no problem with this.
And on top of that is the mental labor that we don't often talk about. So keeping track of who likes what, who doesn't eat what, who needs a special meal, what is missing, what do we need to add to the grocery list. Sometimes we can sort of outsource some of this work. Maybe you can get your partner or maybe paid staff to go out and do some of these things like grocery shopping, but someone still has to do that administrative work of finding the person who can do that, giving them the list, telling them exactly what is needed, remembering people's birthdays, planning the parties. All of this tends to fall to the woman.
So that we don't lose track of what it is we're discussing today, for those of you who are joining late, we're talking about rape culture. What is rape culture? Why does it continue to persist generation after generation after generation? And it's not, for the record, only happening here in the Bahamas. And for the record, it doesn't only happen to females. Okay? Not only women and girls are raped. Men and boys are raped as well. Now, for those men who do face this challenge, any kind of sexual harassment, there's another type of stigma that is attached where they definitely don't want to report it, because you have a man walk into the police station and say, I've just been sexually assaulted. They can laugh and tell, well, this police station talking stupid as use man, go deal with, so there's a stigma attached to that they don't want to come forward and talk about any challenges that they may have. And so it all of this continues to deepen this chasm of wrong being, just perpetuated because of our societal approach to this problem. We as a society have a sickness. It's not just enough to point our fingers at males and say, "Oh, the man and the male is the only problem here." We as a society have a problem, because not only are we allowing it to continue to go from generation to generation, but we are, in many instances, as a society, really digging. What is that saying? When you put your foot down and you refuse to move from that position, we as a society make it difficult for victims to come forward because of these entrenched attitudes that we have. And I dare say, especially when it comes to the rape of women and girls, that in many instances, it's other females that perpetrate this kind of attitude that, well, she was looking for that. Sometimes we females are our own worst enemies. What are your thoughts on that, Alicia?
We're definitely not living in a different world from men. We've been taught the same lessons, the same gender ideologies have been passed on to us, and we have really learned to internalize misogyny, internalize patriarchy, these ideas that we are less than, we are subhuman, and we are only here to be little assistants to men. There's this idea that I often point to wedding ceremonies, something that is practiced all the time. It's even seen as, it's cute, it's sweet, but what does it mean that your father gives you away to someone to become your husband? And you connect that to what the police say when there are these increases in rape and other forms of sexual assault. They say, women need to be careful. We need to move in groups. Don't go anywhere alone. Don't go anywhere late at night. And we're often encouraged to move with men. Have your father, have your brother, have your husband or boyfriend accompany you. And that's connected to this idea that you belong to your father until he gives you to the next man. And that's connected to sexual harassment that we experience on the street. So many women, particularly young women, will say, oh, I have a boyfriend, or I have a husband, or some of us wear rings, even if we're not married, to kind of try to stave off this attention, this harassment that makes us so uncomfortable, because we've learned that if we can prove that another man owns us, maybe the other men will leave us alone. Maybe they'll let us live. Maybe they won't rape us.
Wow. That's heavy, Alicia. That's heavy. I want to take a break. Let people think about what you just said. That's deep. Yeah. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to continue the conversation. And by the way, Alicia's only with us for the first hour. And then we're going to have our male guest on for the second hour. So yeah, let's take a break and think about what she just said. Again, today, the topic is rape culture. We'll be back after this.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 hyperimmune egg powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rim fix and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Trackline, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, all-terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Glasses love.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun.
And welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company, along with my guest, Alicia Wallace. We are streaming live on Facebook on the official Global 99.5 FM and Michelle Malcolm Facebook pages. You can also catch us on YouTube on our official channels and on Cable Bahamas Channel 974. To call in, 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, and the WhatsApp line for text messages and calls is 8010271, 8010271. We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Hi.
I'm really enjoying this show.
Thank you.
Like I told you before, I remember my mom used to have a preschool, and I had an opportunity to see how a lot of children grow. And if you don't grow with them, you miss them. I have adopted some girls, and being able to align yourself with them to the point where they can share with you that, guess what, today, my girlfriend, she brought these little cookies and I ate them and I felt so good. And they told me how I was out of myself. I had a new personality. And being able to explain to her, well, you know, what's really happening is you're destroying your brain. At the same time, you might take a variant of this THC that may put you to sleep for such a long time. The fellas may just take advantage of you. Well, you know, she stopped that. But without that intervention, without someone being able to come to you, because guess what? She also used to put rings on her fingers, as your guest was mentioning. And I was wondering what that's all about. And I'm beginning to connect the dots by listening to your show. She's probably trying to tell, because obviously she's conservative. She's only concerned about seeing how far she could go in life without carrying anybody else with her. So I know she ain't checking for no little Joe Blow, unless she really blowing big. But what I'm simply saying is, she's trying to ward off, from what I'm hearing, those guys, and maybe some girls too, to say that I am taken. And this is really beginning to make sense to me. But now there's another girl, I'm not calling names, she would just post pictures of herself naked on the internet until I had to help her fix that. So I think you find that a lot of young girls, young boys too, are exposing more of the stuff that they want to regret, and in order to gain some level of association and acceptance. Because the only reason why I smoked weed when I was young was because I wanted to be a part of a group. I felt so comfortable with these boys who we even develop a new language. If I start speaking that, you wouldn't know what the hell I'm talking about. So obviously there's a social thing that develops. And I have a family friend of mine who has two kids, and they both have developed a language that none of the parents can understand. So obviously we're trying to find a way to connect with ourselves and then with other people, but at the same time, like a bird, you know, you're begging to be captured, but you don't want to be injured. You know what I mean?
Waiting to be captured, but you don't want to be
You're
injured?
begging
to be
Most
captured?
women are begging to be captured, but refusing to be injured. And that's where we'll now be going to the marital rape
Explain
thing.
what you mean by that for me, please.
Well, I'm saying, what I'm simply trying to say is the idea of being affected or being accepted by somebody else and being captured totally to the point where, like, if you, instead of growing your children up, if you grew up with them, you would have captured them. But if you growing them up, somebody else is capturing them. Got me now?
Mm.
And they don't want to be injured. But they would be if they don't have that connection to come to you and say, guess what? My girlfriend brought these cookies and I was out of myself. I had a new personality. They want to know, well, look, who are they? So this personality experience was interesting for her.
Mm.
And if I were to go and bring the weed to her, she'll try it again. But I'm just simply trying to say, without someone to intervene and explain the long, look, you're only 40. Then you damage that frontal lobe. You can be a vegetable for anybody to pursue.
All right. Thank you so much. Alicia, how do you respond to that caller?
It's so important to be able to engage young people and to build that trust and to give them a place that they know that they can go to get not just the information that they need, but to get empathy, someone who's going to listen and understand where they're coming from and provide them with the information that they need to be able to make decisions for themselves or guidance in making those decisions. And one of the areas that we have really failed as a country is in not providing comprehensive sexuality education. And we're seeing the consequences of that, not just in young people, we're seeing it in our headlines. We're seeing it in discussions about some of these conversations, some of these things that should not be controversial, like marital rape, where people don't understand the difference between rape and sex.
Mm.
And people are saying things like, there are women saying things like, well, a man should never have to rape his wife because, me as a wife, whenever he wants it, then I'll just give it to him. And do you understand consent? Do you understand the difference between rape and sex? Because one has consent, and there are different aspects of that, right? There's the enthusiasm, there is being worn down. But what it sounds like for a lot of the people who are speaking up, a lot of the women in particular speaking up against criminalizing marital rape, it sounds as though they're trying to prevent their own rape or the perception that they're being raped by just giving in.
Mm.
And what does that mean? And how do we teach young people that when we have a sex negative society, we're trying to convince people not to engage unless they're married, unless it's with their spouse. But where is the space to have this conversation about it being pleasurable, about it being something that you're supposed to enjoy and not an obligation?
Mm.
And if we're not talking about that, then we leave them open to feeling like they're obligated to, quote unquote, give it up to a husband, to a boyfriend, to a friend, and not even knowing. So many people don't even know that they've experienced sexual assault.
Mm. We have another caller, but before we go to the call, I just want to say one thing as it relates to what the last caller said about females, showing off so much of their bodies, etc. That too can be traced back to what society teaches, and some women not having the balance in terms of what they are taught, believe that their only value is their sexuality. And so they put that out there because they think that's the only way that they can be attractive. That's the only way that they can get attention, not knowing that there's so much more to them than just their sexuality. That too is a part of the training, the messages that society puts out there that unfortunately are warped. We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Ms. Malcolm.
Yes, sir.
Okay. When I look at this culture, what we're talking about today, I look at this as way back. It's a spirit thing we dealing with, because if you recall that this happened in with the David's son and David's daughter. Well, where he get it from that he could have raped his half sister?
Well, I mean, back in biblical days, especially, women had little value. You could even go before that story. The story of one of Jacob's daughters being raped, and then the man who raped her says, "Okay, give her to me in marriage because I like what I just had." So this is, you know.
So the point is, that's what I'm saying now. This is a spirit thing. It's just that when a man, he just want to satisfy himself. He's not worrying about the woman. Is she being satisfied? This attack come upon me now, and what I want or what force I gotta do, I just couldn't do what I have to do. Because why? It's about him. He's being selfish. So he want to satisfy himself, and he want it. And after that, when he finish, then he feel the guilt trip, and he leave the woman right there unsatisfied. She's not pleased with what happened to her. She feels shame and downgraded because why? She did not give herself to this man freely. You see? And this is the problem. It's all over the world. I believe that this spirit is not only in Nassau, it's all over. So a woman should be freely. It's up to her. It's her body to do what she pleases to. She said no, no is no. And that's it. Even if you're married. And if the woman is not ready for that yet, no is no. So a man should understand that. But because we have this selfish motive, we want it now, and I must get it now. So I'll have to take it. I can take it. See, when the seed of this rape is in this individual, he gonna carry out that act. He don't care where he is or whatever. He just gonna carry it out, and it's not right. It is wrong. Thank you.
But you know, Carla, before you go, what I think people need to realize is that in many instances, rape has less to do with sexual desire than it does to do with power and control.
Mm-hmm.
For many, it's about showing you that I have the power over you.
Yes.
Whether you are a stranger, you know, whether you are somebody I take on a date, because date rape is very real. So it isn't always a stranger perpetrating this behavior. This is somebody you may know, somebody you trust. You go on a date and they figure they got the right to do what they want to do.
Exactly.
You know, whether it's within marriage. It's about, for many, it's not about a sexual desire thing, but it is more so about control. What are your thoughts, Alicia?
But Ms. Malcolm?
Yeah.
And even like you just touched on marriage, when we use a certain scripture to back up. Oh, I married for you. I paid this money for you, and God tell me I the head of the house and I got to do this. Yes, but see, you may be the head of the house, but you have your body. I have my body. You don't know how I am feeling inside. Sometimes the woman it may be going through trauma. Sometimes it's not that she don't want to. Sometimes things flick back in her mind.
Well, it could be a hormonal situation. Women go through hormonal changes that cause their libido to drop. You know, that's a part of that's science, you know.
Right. So what man wouldn't even sympathize and look at this thing and try to understand what his wife is maybe going through? I don't know what she's going through, but just bear with her and see what is what. But because we use, God say you must do this and the next thing. Well, come on.
But again, I don't want this show to just be about marital rape.
No,
we're talking
understand that.
about the rape culture, how we got to this place where people have that mentality.
Because now like I said, there's a spirit that is way back in biblical. It's the same spirit today that we've seen it is more and more out now that is rampant and is taking place. It's taking place now.
So you're saying there's a spiritual component, but and I'm not going to dispute, I'm not going to argue with you on that, but do you believe that as members of society, we play a role in this in terms of what we teach our children, what we teach our boys, what we teach our girls?
Yes, we should be doing that, teaching our girls, teaching our boys the same thing. What is what? But we just try to maybe sometimes we tell our boys them, oh, be a macho and do this next thing. So we teach them how to respect one another. Then we'll have this less problem that we see around inside society, because you get now young boys now up to 10 and stuff like that. They believe they could go touch a young lady and flight around and try to hold on and stuff like that. When she's when she's is up when she's in the school and she's passing upstairs, you get gang of boys that maybe they wait till they pass and they maybe touch on whatever and stuff like that. So these behavior, they that seeds that develop in them, and they let it grow, and now it become now they believe it's right to do.
All right. Thank you for calling. Alicia, I know you only have, 5 minutes left with us. So give us, respond to that call and then give us your final thoughts.
Yeah, I think you made a great point about rape and sexual assault, all forms of sexual assault, being about power and control. This is not about desire. It's not even about sex. It's about taking the opportunity to exercise power and control and dominating another person, someone who you consider to be less than you, weaker than you. We heard stories in the news recently. There was a woman who was taking a ride home with someone who she knew, and that person decided, I'm not taking this person home. I am in a position of power right now because I have her in my vehicle, and I'm going to go in a different direction, and I'm going to violate this person. We had a couple of focus groups earlier this year speaking with survivors of domestic violence and intimate partner violence, and many of them told stories of people that they know, friends, partners, exes, who violated them in various different ways. And we tend to have this idea that, rape happens, it's between strangers, but that is very often not the case. There are often relationships that exist, there's trust that exists. And again, this is one of the reasons that we really have to have these conversations with young people, and we have to believe them when they say that something has happened, whether or not it's someone that we trust, who they say has violated them. We have to take their reports seriously. Some of these kinds of stories are shared in the documentary that's premiering next week, Two-Face: Gender Inequality in the Bahamas. There are a number of survivors who are sharing their stories, and some of them talk about the relationships that they had, or knowing the person, letting the person into the home because, they thought it was this person's friend, someone they've seen before. And, just hearing those stories makes the data so much stronger. We know the numbers, we know 1 in 3, 30% is a huge proportion, but it doesn't become real for a lot of people until they hear the story. So I really encourage people to come out on next week, Wednesday at 7 p.m. at Fusion, to see this documentary, to hear some of these stories, and to hear from people who are working to make change in the country, who are working to see legal reform, but also see force shifts in society, in the ways that we think about and regard and treat each other.
All right. Well, Alicia, I want to thank you so much for giving us the time that you were able to give us today. I know you said that you were only able to be with us until 2:55. It's 2:53. And I want to thank you so much and encourage you to continue the work that you're doing. It's not, I'm sure, an easy road, because whenever you try to be a proponent of these kinds of conversations, especially, you get labeled as everything but a child of God. And and I want to, encourage you to keep on keeping on, keep on, fighting for what is right, because it's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it. And I say it all the time, you can't fix what you don't acknowledge. And we need to stop being experts at sweeping these types of problems under the rug, looking the other way, and then expecting them to just dissipate into the air, because it does not happen. It doesn't. So I want to say thank you, Alicia, for giving us the time that you gave us today.
Thank you so much for creating the space for me today. And for those who are interested in the documentary, please check it out. Look on Facebook for Two-Faced Gender Inequality in the Bahamas. You'll find the Facebook page as well as the event page that's set up there. And you can also get in touch with me if you like at equalitybahamas@gmail.com, or look for us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Thanks again, Michelle.
You're welcome. I'm going to make space at the end of the show to talk a little bit more about the documentary. But thank you so much for being here, Alicia.
Thank you.
All right. My next guest is scheduled to come on at 3:00. Let's take a break. And then on the other side of the break, we're going to continue the conversation about rape culture. What is it? How did we get here? And more importantly, how do we fix it? We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Longevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rims, pinch, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blasted love.
It's gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed, harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z-Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z-Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm here on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. The telephone numbers to call in case you're just joining us, 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, or the WhatsApp line is 8010271, 8010271. And you can either call or send us a text on the WhatsApp line. We are streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 Facebook pages. And you can also check us out on YouTube on our official channels. And you can catch us on Cable Bahamas channel 974. So we're talking today about rape culture. And I see my next guest has come in. While we wait for him to get all set up, I'm going to play a clip. This clip is about showing you the prevalence of rape culture. And just for the record, this particular the report was done in the United States. So again, this is not just a problem in the Bahamas, but as Alicia so well said, just about everywhere you go, there's this problem. So here's now more information about the prevalence of rape culture.
What is rape culture? Well, our very simple definition is that it is a society where sexual assault is prevalent and normalized. First, let's talk about prevalence. According to the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, or RAIN, 1 in 6 women will be victim to attempted or completed rape in their lifetime. For men, that figure is 1 in 33. By RAIN's estimates, an American is raped every 98 seconds. Sexual harassment, violence, and assault are truly prevalent. But according to a U.S. Department of Justice report, 63% of sexual assaults are not reported to the police. And even though a 2009 study found false rape reports only make up 2 to 10% of cases, RAIN estimates that of 1,000 cases of rape, 310 are reported, 57 lead to arrests, and only 6 lead to incarceration of the perpetrator. So, why? Why this disparity? If sexual assault is so prevalent, why do rapists so often escape legal consequences? Well, this brings us to the second component of rape culture: normalization. Quite simply, sexual assault is normalized in our culture, leading to lower reporting and convictions. We live in a society with movies, books, celebrities, and politicians that ascribe to a dichotomy of gender. That is, the idea that men are aggressive, sexually dominant, and always wanted, and therefore women, as their opposites, are meek, sexually submissive, and usually don't enjoy nor want sex. And this dichotomy of gender isn't just simplistic, it's problematic. For men, it creates immense social pressure to be sexual conquerors, to pursue women, and to, well, have a lot of sex. Men feeling this social pressure are more likely to ignore consent. In these situations, assault is presented as normal, sexual conquest. After all, they say, boys will be boys. But these strict gender roles also often dissuade men from reporting sexual assaults when committed against them. Consider actor Terry Crews, who, after sharing his story of sexual assault, faced mockery from both fans and, bizarrely, rapper 50 Cent, questioning why he didn't fight off his assailant. When men report sexual assault, they break with the strict gender roles that are deeply ingrained in society. For many men, it is easier to stay silent than admit victimhood or weakness. For women, the dichotomy of gender is extremely dangerous. Since our culture portrays the average women as not wanting or enjoying sex, women who do want and enjoy sex or simply dress in more revealing clothing are shamed as sluts, whores, hoes, or the new term, thoughts. These labels devalue the woman. Because she has broken with society's expectations of gender, she is considered lesser and perceived as wanting it, a phrase all too often used to justify sexual assault. And when women do report sexual assault, they face victim blaming and social stigma. Judges might ask them why they didn't keep their legs together. Politicians may tell them that if it was a legitimate rape, their body has ways to try to shut that whole thing down. That's a real quote, by the way. And in smaller communities like our own, women who come forward may face campaigns to discredit and question them. and to protect their assailants. In one blog that centers on sexual assault in our town specifically, women repeatedly report refusing to speak out for fear of social stigma. We live in a society where rape and sexual assault are commonplace, sexual harassment even more so. And we live in a society where sexual assault is normalized and minimized. Quite simply, we live in a rape culture.
All right, so joining us now, I'm going to add him to the stream. He too is not showing his camera, maybe because he's on vacation. So who knows?
Yeah, yes. I get. Well, long as the public is okay, Dr. Sean will not be wearing a coat and tie, but he can turn his camera on.
We get it, man. We understand if you listen. First of all,
Yeah.
foremost, well, let me introduce him. Dr. Ian Strong from the University of the Bahamas is our next guest, and I want to say thank you, Ian, because when Liz Thompson sent me the names of who would be appearing on the show, she said, Dr. Strong said he enjoying his vacation. So in other words, you disturbing him, but he'll still come.
Yes.
I appreciate you so much for taking some time from your vacation.
No problem.
On GPS. How you doing, man?
I'm good. It's good to see you. It's very good to see you.
It's been a minute. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I know.
We're talking about rape culture. We've all seen the headlines as of late here in the Bahamas, the sitting MP being accused of rape and the fallout from that, and this whole debate ongoing about marital rape in the country. And we have a serious problem in this country and around the world, really elsewhere, when it comes to this whole concept of a rape culture, because it has become so normalized.
Yeah.
In my research for this show, I came across something that I wasn't even aware of, and I'm not sure if you are. The rape culture pyramid. Are you familiar with that?
No, I'm not.
It talks about how at the bottom of the pyramid you have, things that are seen as innocent. Let me pull it up while I let you go ahead and start talking about your views about rape culture and why it's so prevalent here in the Bahamas. Let me start with you, and then while you're talking, I'll look
Sure.
and find it.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that has to be said for the listening audience to think about is all the ways that just being a woman, being a girl in our country involves a lack of respect for privacy and space. So men feel entitled and are permitted in our culture to basically harass women on a daily basis. A woman just try to walk. Just try to walk the streets of the capital as a woman. And during the course of your walk, you'll be harassed. People will say things to you. If you don't respond favorably, they will start using expletives. They will insult you. Cars will stop and they will start to have conversations with you. These are things men don't have to deal with. So we begin with a baseline in the society where it is cultural to harass women.
Mm-hmm.
It is cultural to threaten and insult women in public space. Women are not left alone. They are not respected. Their physical space is not respected. Their privacy is not respected. That men feel entitled to do these things, and it happens so much that we don't even think about it. But that is a sign of a society in which essentially women are unequal to men, and that men have a sense of entitlement to women's bodies, to engage any woman. I mean, you can see you see it. You see homeless men propositioning, a woman who walks by and she's wearing a business suit. It doesn't matter. right? So there's this. So there's this. That's from a deep rooted sense of male privilege and power in society, and that women are less than, right? So so that's the first comment I want to make, that we have a society that doesn't protect women in that basic way, right? That's just allowed. And then you go to the value system of manhood, the sort of toxic masculinity that we have in this society. And a lot of that is predicated upon the way you treat women, your relationship with women, right? So to be a man, to be a real man, involves certain types of behaviors toward women, treating women in a certain way. So you have a society in an interesting way where men are more loyal to men than they are to women. They're more loyal to each other than they are to women, even significant women in their lives, right? So that's another part of it. And then, of course, there's the ultimate, which is that a woman's body in no circumstance is actually her own, right? Whether and especially in the context of marriage, the woman is chattel. She has been bought. She is the property and possession of the man to do with what he pleases. And I use the word chattel deliberately. It's an extension of slavery, right? She is the man. She is the man's possession, and therefore she is not allowed free will. She exists for him, right? And so a society that believes that cannot possibly countenance marital rape as a thing, right? So that's kind of what we're up against. And the Bahamas is actually, I mean, there are places that are far worse than us and are doing far more horrible and deplorable things to women, like denying them education, all sorts of, refusing to let them drive and mutilating their genitalia. There's all sorts of, it's a global phenomenon, right? This hostility toward women and this treatment of women who are physically, in some cases, in most cases, physically weaker, right? So there's this domination, which is about male power, or the fancy academic word patriarchy, which is what you're seeing.
Here's what bothers me about this whole thing, and you are right. Some countries, it's notorious the way the women are treated. I mean, there was huge protests in the Middle East the other day where a young woman lost her life because she dared to let her hair show.
Yeah.
They take the woman whole life.
Yes.
Because she dared to let her hair show. Now, what bothers me with societies like that's an extreme. But even if we want to take it to what we see happening in our society, what bothers me is we put all of this emphasis on the responsibility of the woman. And again, this show, I know you joined us at 3:00. We made it very clear at the beginning of the show that women and girls aren't the only ones who are raped. Men and boys are raped as well.
Yes.
To a lesser degree in terms of frequency, but it does happen. But when you're talking about the rape of women, what bothers me, we put all of our energy and emphasis on the responsibility of the woman. Oh, she shouldn't have dressed that way. Oh, she shouldn't have been walking by herself for that hour a night. Oh, she shouldn't have had that extra drink. But where and at what point do we stop and say, men, boys, you have a responsibility not to use your physical power to dominate this woman, to violate this woman. But I remember a case in the United States. I don't remember if I know the young lady was either drugged or she drank so much that she passed out. I don't remember which one it was. And this Ivy League boy, going to expensive school, white boy, raped this woman. And the woman was conscious enough to know that she was raped, reported it. They brought the boy before the courts. He was charged, sentenced with a little slap on the wrist. But what amazed me was what his father said when the judge handed down the sentence, which was light compared to, I dare say, if a black man had committed that same crime. he wouldn't have seen the light of day for decades of his life. They gave this boy maybe a year in jail, if that. And his father says, Judge, I think that is a very harsh judgment for a boy getting a little bit of action. And the mother of the boy gets up and says, he can't handle a year in jail. It's going to destroy him. And I'm saying to myself, well, I'll be doggone. First of all, Daddy think raping a woman is a little bit of action. That's the first problem.
Yeah, you said a lot there. So the other interesting thing, back to your point about the victim blaming, right? Again, women are oppressed. Let's say that. Let's start there. Women are oppressed in the Bahamas, and I know that sounds, it might be controversial for some people when they look at women. Women seem to be doing well in society, but the reality is women are oppressed in the Bahamas, and an oppressed people, and you think about human history, women have been oppressed for a very, 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 very long time, and oppressed people, as in the pattern even with blacks in slavery, you're to blame. You're to blame for your oppression. In the case of colonialism, we're celebrating 50 years of colonialism. We were colonized because we needed the light. We were savages. Wow. We were wasting the resources of the land we were given, and the European came to save us, right? And so, if you weren't slaves, what would you do? You don't know how to rule. You don't know how to lead. You don't know how to. You are responsible. That's in the case of the race dynamic. It's also the case with women and men. Women are oppressed and they are to blame, right? The blame cannot be put where it really belongs. And you find so often that women are the ones too who speak these things about other women. Well, what you going there for? Why you let him in your place? Why you was wearing that? Women are often the very ones perpetuating this, right? But that is a sign of oppression. It is a sign of oppression. And then when we talk about male violence, let's be honest that really, and I covered this in my film. I can't wait to see the movie, this film, which I know is going to be gut-wrenching. But I talk a little bit about this in my film, Eyes Man, which is that we raise boys to see violence as normal, right? And so, and we don't raise girls that way. So aggression is normal male behavior, and violence is normal male behavior. Just look at the toys you give boys, and the games you let them play, and how you let them play, right? And so naturally, that is normalized in society, so that gets expressed, under stress, in crisis, where your ego is threatened, and that's the problem, is that the male acts on those who are weaker to deal with what the pain that they cannot tolerate, whether it's the pain of rejection, pain of betrayal, pain of failure, whatever the emotional discomfort. We don't raise men to actually be able to manage those stresses properly. We raise men to pretend as if they don't have feelings. Then those feelings come out in these violent ways, right? Which is why you'll see the level of male violence, male drug use, male suicide, etc. Men don't handle stress in the healthy ways women are able to. They're not as resilient as women are because they are socialized to deny their interior life and to externalize everything. And they're also socialized to be violent and to solve things through violence, through domination. Domination and aggression are expressions of masculinity, right? So you are a real man if you could fight and beat up somebody else. You're a real man if you don't show any pain or vulnerability. You're a real man, actually, if you don't love a woman, but you use and play women. That makes you a real man. So that's what we're up against, and so that's part of that's the big part of it. Is that if we're going to protect and honor and respect and give women equality and protect them, we need to re-engineer men. We need to re-engineer men and redefine manhood, because we're in a society where all things feminine are despised or looked down upon.
Yeah.
So there's very few ways. One of the main ways to influence a man is to call him a woman. Use a gal. Use a panties. Just think about looking up at how men try to insult each other by feminizing each other, which says that we despise womanhood, right? So we're afraid of it. Actually, is what I think. We're afraid of the strengths that women have, because we don't have those strengths, and so we act in these ways.
So here now, let me describe this pyramid for our audience. You know, the pyramid, 3 sides. The lower part of the pyramid is the wider, and then it heads up to a pinnacle. So at the bottom layer, you have normalization. What is normalization of rape culture? You know, the rape jokes. Yeah, man, she was trying to hold up, so I had to take it. The boys will be boys idea. Even things like unequal pay. These are all at the bottom of the normalization of rape culture. Girls should stay at home. Victim blaming. Oh, we see a lot of that in our society. Locker room banter, where they have these jokes over how they've mistreated women, and sexual attitudes. That's at the bottom of the pyramid. As you come a little higher, you move from normalization to degradation. So, like you said, a woman is walking on the street and somebody driving by says something. If she don't respond the right way, you can tell all about underneath the clothes and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Stalking and following somebody. Non-consensual photos. Revenge porn. The two of you are in a relationship for whatever reason. You all agree to take pictures or do a video together, which I think, man or woman, you're stupid if you do that, but that's just my opinion. And then you all have a breakup, and then he put it out there for the world to see just to get back at you. Yeah, that's a problem. Catcalling. In other words, you're driving by in your car.
Yeah,
I actually saw an interview of a woman who said, "Ladies, let me tell you how to avoid catcalling." How did she say now? Instead of walking on the sidewalk, walk down the middle of the street. And I think it was I think I was watching a Trevor Noah show. And he was on the Daily Show.
Daily Show, yeah.
He said, "Man, how bad must we be that a woman is willing to face being knocked down by a truck as opposed to being dealt with by us on a sidewalk? How bad can we be?" Right? Another thing, unsolicited photos where people are sending you these sexually explicit photos that you clearly didn't ask for, but they think that's cute to show you their private parts, to show you what you're missing, that kind of thing. So that's the second tier. The third tier is it moves from normalization to degradation to removal of autonomy. And what does that mean? Sexual coercion, threatening, dosing, where you put stuff in a woman's drink, just to get her knocked out enough that you could do what you want to do. Groping.
The Bill Cosby approach.
Yes, groping, big problem in our society. From the time I was a teenager, groping was a problem. Where you can't to yourself. Safe word violations and covert condom removal. At the top of the pinnacle of this rape culture violence, you have now graduated to explicit violence. So now you're talking about gang rape, murder, molestation, violence, and rape. So you see, it starts. Some people might say innocently, "Mom, we just talking in the locker room. It starts innocently, if you want to call it that." But this thing continues to build and build and build until you get to the point where some men believe that they have a right to rape you. And what do you mean? What do you mean this was rape? This was consensual. What do you mean it was rape? Mind you, you keep saying no. You keep saying no, but they ain't hearing that. It's like it go in one end, come out the next.
Yeah, so there's a sense of entitlement. You know, there are a lot of things there are a lot of things that have cultural roots for the violence we see against women. And two other points I want to make. And first of all, let me mention that you talk about dosing women. I remember when I was teaching at the University of Massachusetts, I had a student, white girl, young lady, who had gotten drugged at a club and crashed a car. I mean, she had to go through multiple surgeries to try to reconstruct her face because someone who propositioned her in the bar, she wasn't interested in them. They decided to drug her to try and follow her home, and have their way with her. And these things happen, and they're terrible. But what I wanted to say was, there are things in our society that we may not fully appreciate the impact they have, the cumulative effect they have on the psyche of men. Another one is pornography itself. So the consumption of pornography and the theatricalizing of sex in the context of pornography normalizes aggression toward women. It normalizes, and it even beyond normalizes, it elevates, celebrates aggression towards women.
Wow.
So and everybody can get porn on their phone, computer, tablet. The cable channels have porn. People are watching porn at younger and younger ages. It's easier to have access to it. It's not like when you had to go under your older brother's bed to get a magazine. It's ubiquitous. And and the majority of pornography is founded on a very male-centered view, and it demonstrates sex is really a kind of aggression. You see women being choked, slapped, bound. There's very little kindness or tenderness, and it is all a selfish act focused on male gratification and on domination of the woman and submission of women. And so men seeing that, consuming that begins to solidify in their minds what sex should be and how women should behave in sex. So that's the first thing I want to say. And that's not something we want to talk about in the Bahamas. Right? So we have a lot of conversations around morality, but there's not any real conversations about the messages and signals that pornography is actually sending to young men. And the second thing is the media itself. Beyond pornography, rap music, hip-hop music, Hollywood, commercials, and the objectification of women, that women exist for men's pleasure, that women are just objects, that they are not really humans, they're just toys, they're not people with the same value, rights as you. They're not as significant as you. They are really just there for your pleasure, whether they understand that or not, whether they want to or not. They exist for men's satisfaction. And media encourages us to see women as sex objects, not as other human beings, not as persons, but as pieces of meat, pieces of ASS. That's what mainstream normal television is doing every single day. And of course, it's also doing it to girls. It's also doing it to women. It's saying, this is what you are. This is how you get seen. This is what gives you value. This is all the world wants from you. Right? This is all your worth. So it's extremely harmful, and we underestimate the, like I said, the cumulative value of all of this on how we treat each other, and most importantly, how we treat girls and women.
Yeah, and as a result of what you just described, there are some women, I mentioned it early in the show when Alicia Wallace was on, there are some women who internalize that message because unfortunately they would not have been taught the right way, and so they figured the only way to show my value is to show my sexuality. And
yes,
it's unfortunate, and you know what amazes me as a woman, if a man comes at you and you say, No, thanks. I'm not interested. The next thing they go to, apart from the insults or whatever, oh, you don't like money.
Yeah. Yeah.
You must be a lesbian. You don't like my. No, I just don't like you. But something's wrong with you. If I showing you interest and you ain't interested in me, you must don't like one.
Yeah. And again, I talk about the male ego and the psyche and the lack of ability to tolerate or deal with the normal stresses of life. Rejection is a normal part of life. Not everybody's gonna like you. You're not tall enough. You got too much of a bad belly. They don't like the sound of your voice. They are committed to someone else. They're not in the mood to talk to anybody today. It should not create a crisis for you that someone is not interested in talking to you. It shouldn't create a crisis where you have to flip and become aggressive and insulting and hostile.
Mm-hmm.
So why are you so fragile, right? That you can't handle a little rejection. But that is when you as a man invest all of your sense of self or your own value in your ability to sweet talk a woman, court a woman, have sex with women, maintain multiple relationships, be what in your mind makes you invincible, right? You're a player. Anything that goes against your narrative about who you are, because that's what you based all your value on, then you have a serious crisis.
Wow.
And you have to lash out because you haven't really developed a whole self where you find value in other things. You find there's so many things in life that you could find value in. So many things in life that could give you a sense of self, of wellness, of fulfillment. But the overemphasis on sex and on sexuality and on sexual and masculinity as sexual domination translates into this crisis, right? And so you have men when they are portrayed that their answer is, I must kill this woman. I must, that's. What if women did that?
Oh shucks.
What if Bahamian women decide tomorrow that's what we're gonna do? We have to kill every man who betrays us.
No, Lord, ain't much you'll be left.
I leave that right there. So women are exactly. So again, we have to start looking at what is going on in terms of male psychology, the culture that is creating these distortions. At the same time, we need to protect women and girls. We need to do we need to do everything we can to begin to inculcate that from primary school. And we cannot just passively let these messages be absorbed by our children without any interference, any mediation, any commentary. We passively let our children absorb these things from media, from television, from radio, from YouTube, from wherever they watch it. And so they receive all these messages about what a woman is and what a woman means and what they're for and what they're not for before they even hit puberty. Right? And they have before they even hit puberty, these toxic notions of masculinity as well. And these notions that women are inferior. And my wife calls me all the time. I have 3 sons. And she calls me all the time when I do something that could signal to my sons that is woman's work, or that is something a woman is supposed to do for you. And she calls me out, and I'm like, you're right. Because we have to think about how we send these messages. And they're watching how I treat her. They're watching how I talk to her. They're watching what tasks she does in the home. She watching. If Dad's sitting there waiting for her to bring him a plate of food, if Dad is like, they only go to her and ask what's for dinner. They don't ever come to me and ask what's for dinner. You understand? There's these roles are being reinforced that say a woman serves a man. never the other way around. And those are also things that have implications.
Yeah.
Broad ranging implications. Some of it is harmless. I get it, but then there's a lot of it that has a cumulative effect on giving men a sense of entitlement, giving them privilege in society, and consigning women to second-class citizenship.
You're so right, Ian, because here's what we need to understand. If this is a message that is being repeated over and over and over and over again, that is getting into somebody's psyche. So if this is something that has started from childhood, they grow up with these messages and become a teenager with these messages, a young adult with these messages. By the time they get to the point where they are actually dominating somebody through sexual violence, I mean, not to say that they aren't redeemable, but you're talking years and years and years of programming to get to that point.
Yeah, and I
go ahead.
Yeah, and I think even a simple thing like I won't say a simple thing. Let me backtrack. A lot of rape is date rape, right? A lot of rape is where the girl and the man might be in some form of relationship. There is an intimacy there, but then the boundary is violated. That the woman's right to set a boundary is constantly violated and ignored, and that's about male entitlement. And then women don't want to come forward because they will be judged. They will not be heard.
We have to take a break. But on the other side of the break, we can't ignore the elephant in the room, because exactly what you're describing right now is what is being alleged involving a sitting member of parliament. We have to talk about it. Let's take a break, and then we'll be back with more of GPS. Stay with us. We'll be back after these messages.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after
At
this.
Lee Air, safety is our #1 priority. Flying since 1996, we offer scheduled flights into Fresh Creek and Mangrove Key Andros and Great Harbor Key, Berry Island, twice daily, 7 days a week. Affordable charter services are also available to anywhere in the Bahamas and the Caribbean. Lee Air Charter Services. Call 225-3267, 702-7127, or 322-1317 for reservations.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
For all your building needs, it's Carib Construction and Project Management on Gladstone Road. We build it all: schools, homes, hotels, and more, including structures requiring a Phase 3 electrical contractor. We also provide project management services. The first step towards your dream building begins at Carib Construction and Project Management. Call us at 376-1556 or 341-4466.
One of the things I love about the mailboat is their relationship with Bahamas Air. I can earn travel points on my international freight and redeem them when I fly.
For me, online shopping is easy with Mailboat's U.S. addresses and regular freight delivery to Nassau. Plus, I can always prepay customs and freight, and they always notify me when my package arrives.
Yeah, a lot of people think the Mailboat is just for shipping, but they also offer a safe and secure storage facility at affordable rates, all in a central, convenient location.
We also offer passenger service into Freeport multiple times per week with a seating capacity of over 450 persons. With family movies on large screens, one hot meal included, and on-board lounge for snacks and soft drinks. We're the Mailboat. We're bridging people, products, and places.
Executive Printers is your one-stop shop for all your branding and customization needs. Letterheads, envelopes, business cards, invoices, share and gift certificates, rubber stamps, vouchers, funeral programs, brochures, flyers, banners, and promotional items like mugs, water bottles, mouse pads, and key rings. All with personable service and great quality. No project is too small or too large. For great turnaround and competitive pricing, make an executive decision. Call us at 393-5011.
Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm here along with Ian Strawn, and we're talking about rape culture. I want to read a text message from one of our listeners by way of WhatsApp. It says, in my opinion, sometimes we just overthink things and try to find answers to situations. Perhaps, people who believe they are stronger, more powerful, and have no respect, feelings, or morals in regards to other human beings, being male or female, will always try to dominate, more often than not women, because they are believed to be weaker physically. Text, while I don't disagree with you that, people will, try to dominate others, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't address it and say that we are overthinking things. If we don't address these problems, then how will we ever fix them? You cannot fix what you do not acknowledge. That's the bottom line. We have a comment from one of our Facebook viewers. Let me go ahead and pull this up. It's a very long message, so I don't know if you're going to get all of it on there. It says, good day, all. Powerful show as always, Michelle. There needs to be a concerted effort by women-led NGOs, leaders to partner, recruit men in their organizations to learn how men function, think, to better create programs, etc., to change men's thinking and actions. Some of them turn society off, alienate men and women, whether that's right or wrong, by perpetrating whether right or wrong, men are evil and women are victims. Also, the elephant in the room is who is the messenger leader of these NGOs. That's as far as the message goes. Ian,
just had to turn my camera off for a moment. Sorry.
No worries. No worries. What is your response to that?
I think there's some validity to the notion that the messenger does matter, right? I think that's especially, for instance, when we were trying to get the amendments to the Constitution, I think one of the challenges that we faced was that the people who were advocating for equality for women within the Constitution, they struggled to really have their message resonate with the majority of women who were not middle class professionals, right? So I think it is a fact that in trying to mobilize people and build consensus, you have to pay attention to the message and the messenger. You definitely do. But I wouldn't say that is the only reason we haven't seen more progress. I think we have to acknowledge that we are a society where power still is in the hands of men. Although women make up most of the people in church, men still lead the church. To my knowledge, there's never been a woman in charge of the Christian Council. There's never been a woman head of the Christian Council. We've never had a female prime minister. Women do most of the voting, but most of the MPs are men. I remember distinctly, for instance, when before the previous election, the leader of the DNA was a woman, Ms. Komalafe, very capable. And I remember she ended up getting, I think she was arrested or held by the police for a period. And she came on television, and then people were starting to, it feels like she was getting criticism for being out there as a mother, trying to drive a political agenda. Like her place was in the house, and she wasn't taking care of her family because she was doing these things. Like she didn't belong there. She ended up having to answer that. You know, there's a lot of this that's about male power and privilege, and the very fact that we're still talking about passing a marital rape law. How many years has it been? It feels like it's been 20 years.
Don't even get me started on that, Ian. Don't even get me
I mean,
started on that.
Yeah, like, why are we still talking about this? You know, so at the end of the day, I understand the importance of having the right champions and advocates, right? People who can speak to different demographic groups about the value system, about the construction of masculinity and how it is toxic. We talk about respect for women, women's bodies, seeing women as more than just objects that exist for your pleasure. All of those things we need to be very strategic about and take a 360-degree approach to. I agree with all of that. But at the end of the day, you elect leaders to pass laws and to govern well, to use our resources well for the benefit of the majority. And one of the things you expect your leaders to do is to protect all citizens.
Well, that's kind of hard to do, Ian, when you yourself are being accused of rape. Now, that being said, everyone is innocent until proven guilty, and so far they have not named the sitting MP who is being accused of rape. But a young woman has come forward saying a sitting member of parliament raped her. Here is that report.
A woman who recently filed a complaint to police against a sitting member of parliament claims that she was sexually assaulted by him. You see, last week, Assistant Commissioner of Police Bernard B.K. Bonamy, officer in charge of Grand Bahama, confirmed that a complaint was made, but never went into detail. Tonight, we get a brief glimpse into what the nature of that complaint was.
He ripped off my jeans, and he ripped off my underwear, and he forced himself on me, even though I said to him, stop, stop.
She alleges that she was also physically abused by the MP over the course of their 2-year relationship.
I was choked on 2 occasions to the point where I almost passed out. And the third event happened when I was poked in my eye. My ex-boyfriend said that it was an accident.
Since then, she says she's spent her days living in fear, constantly looking over her shoulder.
Threats were made towards myself and my family, and I didn't feel safe. I was unable to sleep, was unable to eat. Anytime I would leave the house, I would always look around to make sure I don't see anyone. When I enter the home, I would look around and make sure that no one is on the inside.
But to add fuel to fire, the MP's alleged ex-girlfriend claims that she allegedly wasn't his first victim.
Prior to dating him, allegedly, I've heard that he beats women. But me not knowing him, I gave him the benefit of the doubt.
And in an attempt to save at least one life, she says she chose to come forward with her story. Here's her advice for anyone who may find themselves falling victim to violence by the hands of someone who claims to love them.
Know your worth. And at times we tend to give people the benefit of the doubt. But in the first instance, sometimes we need to run. Our life is worth more
than sitting and taking abuse from someone else.
Now, we did reach out to government for comment. However, they declined to respond on the matter. In the meantime, police investigations are ongoing.
Several members of parliament also asked their opinion about this particular case. Here's what they had to say. And this is a short clip, and then we're going to come back to our guest on the show.
Kind of late. I could come back out. It's 10 o'clock. I can talk to you later, though. It's 10 o'clock.
Absolutely no comments. Absolutely none.
It's under investigation. I don't know anything, much details other than what you printed. So we have to let process take its course.
The system has a process, and everything is a process. So investigation is ongoing. I believe that there's quite a lot of confidence in the police to do their investigating thoroughly and properly in the way it should be done. And when that is finished and said and done with, then the facts will be revealed. And so we just leave it just like that, allow the process to take its place.
So the former Prime Minister, Hubert Minnis, is calling for the Davis administration to require that particular member of parliament to step down until this matter is all cleared up. But Ian, without going into the details of the case specifically, if we just look at this as a system, not a system, a symptom of what we have going on in our society, it speaks to just what you were talking about in terms of wielding power, entitlement. Just for the record, the female accuser is a trained doctor. This is a professional person. Not to say that if she weren't a professional person, her accusations would carry any less validity. But I think it's important to say that because people tend to try to dismiss people based on their lot in life.
Right. I mean, there's no getting around the issues of class and status in society with cases like this.
Right.
And this is a test. This is a test of our society, our systems, our institutions, and we are not alone in this, right? People who are wealthy, people who are sitting in political office, have protections that they don't deserve because they have means, because they have connections, and so on. And that happens all over the world, and it's a challenge to bring such people to justice. Not to say that this person is guilty, they are innocent until proven guilty, but the fact is, the concern for all of us watching will be, will this be properly investigated? It is not the first time.
No, it's not.
It's not the first time a high-profile politician has been accused, or we've heard of reports going to police about someone, right? So, and we've also had a member of parliament in the House of Parliament talk about beating someone he was in a relationship with. So this is something which is obviously sensitive and very, very serious. But as citizens, we are watching to see if this process will be done properly, and that there will be justice in the end, whatever that justice is. Justice maybe the person is absolved and they've been falsely accused, or whatever the case may be. But what mustn't happen is that it just falls out of everybody's knowledge and attention, and it just dies away with no resolution. And 2 years from now, we're like, whatever happened with that situation?
Yeah,
right? That's what can't happen. And we see this now in the biggest, largest, and most powerful, well, not the largest, but the most powerful country in the world. Does the fact that you're a politician absolve you from responsibility when you commit crimes?
We have a call on the
line. Are you subject to the law? Do we live under the rule of law? Does it apply to all of us, right?
We have to take this call. I'm Ian. Caller, welcome to the show.
Ms. Malcolm, I hope you're doing well.
Hey, Professor, how you doing?
Yeah, I just heard the comments from the lady. The first time I'm hearing it. I didn't hear it before. I'm just wondering if you had more to that, or is that just a portion of what you said?
I think that's a portion. That's what was aired. That's what aired in the news report. She and her family were actually interviewed by Shanique Miller of Beyond the Headlines.
Yeah.
And if you look for that show, you'll get more of a detail of that interview.
Okay, that is good. So, what you were discussing on this now, are you talking about the police?
We're talking about rape culture in general. That's what this show is about
rape
today.
culture in general.
Yes, yes.
Oh, I see. I'm still trying to figure out what is this, because I asked a minister, I said, does the Bible support marital rape? Is there such a thing as marital rape? Because I keep hearing this, the two words marital rape, but I can't get no definition. What is it? And I don't know of any Bahamian woman having complained. We don't seem to have any public records of complaints by wives who said they were raped by their husband.
Well,
what about the husband?
Before you go on, Professor, there was a case very recently where the judge actually ruled, I know you raped this woman, you know you raped this woman, but because our law does not allow, I call it rape. She said that in the judgment.
But Ms. Malcolm, I don't know, the judge might have erred in that because she isn't supposed to speculate. She's supposed to rule according to law. I don't know why she would speculate like that. And I'm not questioning what you just said, but if she said it that way, I have a problem with that.
Well, I mean, you know, based on the evidence that was provided, she made a ruling based on the evidence that was provided in the case. But she said
it had nothing to do with marital rape because there's no such definition as marital rape.
That was her point, and this is what she was saying. Because there's no such thing as marital rape, I cannot charge you for rape. But based on the evidence, you raped this woman, but we can't call it that. That was her point.
Yeah, well, I think she's contradicting herself if she said it that way.
I mean, I'm paraphrasing, obviously.
How could a judge sitting there who ought to rule on something according to law insinuate her opinion? See, I always have difficulty when people sitting on the bench insinuate an opinion that ain't based on nothing. It's just based on hot air. Now, I know the case did rule on something else. And so I keep hearing this thing about marital rape, but we don't have a definition for it. But now let me just say this. I asked the gentleman, is it biblically sound? He said, no. Well, I say then, what are we talking about? You know, now this
Professor, this show is not specifically about marital rape, though. We're talking about the whole question of a rape culture. Where go ahead, Ian.
Let me just say this. The law of the Bahamas, its laws, are not biblical laws. They are laws that are meant to serve and protect all citizens, whether they are Christians, Muslims, Hindus, atheists, agnostics, or they haven't even had an opinion about the meaning of life or the origin of existence. It is meant to protect all people who live in the Bahamas. And those laws are not Bible laws. Now, some of those laws reflect the values and teachings of the Bible. Like, for instance, there's punishment in the law for stealing, punishment for murder, et cetera, et cetera. So there are certainly areas where they align. But I do not accept the argument that some may make that in their view, the Bible does not speak to rape within marriage, and therefore there is no place for a law to protect a woman who happens to be married from being raped. First of all, you define what rape is. And if you know what rape is, which is having your way with someone sexually against their consent, then I actually don't see what the relevance of the person being married or not is. Because once you've done that, you have raped them. That's the view. So the argument, we are not a theocracy. We do not live under religious rulership or governance, right? If we did that, then we would be stoning people. We would be doing all sorts of savage things that are prescribed, in different parts of the Bible. That's not what we're doing.
We only have 2 minutes left in the show.
Malcolm, could you give me 30 seconds?
It got to be only 30 because I got to wrap this up.
I could do it less than 30. The Constitution says we are a nation under God, under the supremacy of God. That's in our Constitution. It also says that we're guided by Christian values and the rule of law. Does that have any meaning? You mean to tell me, see, it's the God of the Holy Bible. I always tell
The
people
Constitution also says that I have freedom of conscience and belief and speech and association. So it also enshrines my religious freedom. That same Constitution.
Gentlemen, with all due respect, with 1 minute left, I'm not going to let y'all hijack this show.
Go ahead. Don't say yours.
We only got 1 minute left.
Thank you, ma'am.
Go ahead, Michelle.
But this show was about the rape culture.
Yes.
Not specifically about marital rape, not specific. It was about the culture of rape.
Yes. Right.
And what we need to do to fix that. Ian, I got less than a minute. Your final thoughts.
As I said, we have to address all the ways we normalize male privilege, male entitlement, male violence. And we also have to address all the ways we teach boys and girls that women are objects just that exist for male gratification and pleasure. We have to look at all the ways we teach that and normalize that. And we have to ensure in our laws that we protect girls and boys and girls and women in every way possible.
Thank you, Ian, so much for being on the show today. I want us to leave the show today playing a new song. The first time that you're going to hear this being played is right here on GPS. This is a song that serves as the theme song for the documentary that's going to be premiering next week called Two-Faced. And this is the soundtrack for that documentary. It's called Strength of a Woman, composed by Keisha Edwards Taylor, lyrics by Keisha Edwards Taylor and Gina Rogers Seeley, who was the producer of that film, performed by Dr. Tessa Scott. We're going to go now from the show with that song. Ian, I want to thank you so much for being here. Obviously, we got to do a part 2 because I don't even know if we dove deep enough into how do we fix this problem once and for all. Thanks for taking time off your vacation to talk with us today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, we got to go. I'm Michelle Malcolm. Thank you so much. Tomorrow, open line show. Be sure to tune in then. But in the meantime, let's listen to this song, Strength of a Woman.
You never know the depth of the pain she bears. Things she's felt and heard, yet she cares. Every single moment is cherished or haunting, but she pushes through, wanting to be heard. With the strength of a woman, none can compare the strength of a woman.